So call the meeting to order. Again, we are sorry for starting so late. We'll try to move things right along. Dr. Kelly, why don't you jump right in? Oh, hold on here. I think I probably need to do a couple things. Hold on. Thank you, Connie. So, first things first, we need a motion to accept the recent election results.
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. I didn't even get to make a comment. I just want to congratulate the three board trustees that were reelected, particularly Mr. Lennon, who garnered well over 700 votes. I think it was a real vote of confidence from the community, but thank you all for showing up, and particularly for approving the budget with overwhelming positive yes, and the referendum for the new construction project. Thank you very much. Now I think we can move to motion to accept the reorg meeting in July. Thank you, Connie. July 8th, 6 p.m. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
One more before going to Rachel. We need a motion to accept the draft minutes from last month.
Motion.
For 3 meetings, May 8th.
Goodness gracious, I am really messing up this evening. What would I do without Connie? Our district clerk, by the way, Connie Lawrenzados, where would I be? Where would we be without her? Motion to accept the draft minutes of the 3 meetings.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Third time's a charm. Dr. Kelly, take it away.
Thank you. Just a few quick highlights. Good evening, everybody. Happy June. I want to start off, pardon me. The Bronxville School's been awarded and has been designated a green ribbon school. The application was extensive and broken down into 3 pillars. Pillar 1 speaks to reducing waste, recycling programs, and conserving. That's quite all right. That's Connie, our district clerk.
I got it.
And conserving water and energy. Pillar 2 speaks to the health and wellness of our students and staff through school gardens, fresh produce and student lunches, and improving air quality through new technology. And Pillar 3 speaks to environmental and sustainability education, which is evident through our STEM projects and strong civic and economic skills of our students. I commend this district's dedication to submitting this extensive application, and I want to thank 2 parents specifically, Laura Van Tehoven and Maria Tarjanian, as well as our Director of Facilities, Mike Lee, and our middle school science curriculum leader, Jen Zopp, who were all instrumental in this application, all under the leadership of Ann Meyer, who took on this tremendous feat of writing that application. So today was the ceremony in Albany during the Board of Regents meeting, and I recorded a clip of Regent Fran Willis granting us this honor.
Christina can't hear.
The first school
Christina can't hear.
is Bronxville, so I'm going to begin talking about Bronxville. The first school district to be receiving the 2025 New York State Green Ribbon District designation is Bronxville Union Free School District. And we have here today, and maybe you could stand, Ann Meyer, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Jennifer Zopp, middle school science teacher, and Teen Hogan parent. And it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm going to read a little bit first about the program as you stand, because this is a great honor for all of us, the state and for you. Bronxville Union Free School District is a strong example of how educational leaders can integrate conservation, community engagement with environmental sustainability into both daily operations and curriculum. Bronxville has taken several steps toward environmental sustainability through completing NYSERDA recommended energy audit improvements and maintaining a focus on energy efficiency with a building energy management system. Bronxville has implemented water conservation measures such as rain sensor equipment irrigation system for the front lawn and water bottle refilling stations throughout the building, including at the football field. The district encourages a healthy lifestyle through comprehensive wellness policy, promoting nutritious meals, physical activity, and nutrition education. Bronxville emphasizes environmental education through composting programs, chemical management initiatives, and partnerships with organizations like the Greenberg Nature Center. The district has an outdoor classroom and a learning garden that is used for project-based learning experiences across grades and disciplines. Bronxville also implemented environmental stewardship and sustainability throughout the curriculum by using the Bronx River as a living laboratory. Students in all grades, K through 12, participate in hands-on river studies that focus on water quality, ecosystems, and the impact of human activity on the environment. Through their experiences at Bronxville, students gain the skills they need to become responsible citizens, protect the environment, and make positive impacts on the world around them. Please join me in congratulating Bronxville Union Free School District for their extraordinary efforts in sustainability, and I want to mention the superintendent, Dr. Rachel Kelly. I know she's been a steward of this process as well. I know you also went through an environmental issue when you had, I believe, a storm. I remember when that happened and it was flooding in the school, and there was just one school in Bronxville. And I know what it took to get that school back. And part of that, I'm sure, was this whole environmental thinking. So I congratulate you, and I would like all of us to take a moment to congratulate Bronxville.
And
Thank you.
Thank you. And Ann Meyer was kind enough to bring back the signed certificate naming us as a Green Ribbon School for the 2025 school year. So thank you, everybody. I also want to congratulate all of our students who have performed in our end-of-year concerts in elementary, middle, and high schools, as well as our student athletes who have had a wonderful season, many of whom have played in postseason competition. The depth of our students' talent, whether performing in the auditorium or out on the fields, is quite extraordinary. Congratulations to all. And before I end my remarks and hand it over to our student ex officio board member, I want to take a moment and thank the community, specifically the Board of Education, the PTA, the Foundation, the Mayor Mary Marvin, and the Chief of Police Chris Satrielli for hosting what I thought was a perfect evening on our front lawn, honoring my 30 years of service to this incredible school district. It's the students, the faculty, the staff, the parents, and the broader community that make this place so special. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge what I love doing.
And thank you, Rachel.
Yes, thank you.
Again.
Louise.
Hi everyone. I have a few updates from the past month in the high school and just in the school in general. So AP exams were May 5th to 16th, and sophomores through seniors who took AP classes participated in these. And on May 16th, to end out the 2 weeks, we had junior and senior prom. There was a promenade before, and this whole event was planned by the junior class government, and I thought it was very fun. SFL Field Day was May 19th, and there were many different lawn games for all the students to participate in. There was a dunk tank that Dr. Laverso actually went in. And there also were food trucks provided, which it was really good. And on May 19th was the Arts Festival, hosted by the Art Society and PTA. And in that event, there was an open mic night for high school students as well as an art show. The week of May 19th was Senior Week. Seniors went on a field trip to Boundless Adventure. They learned about different safety procedures as they're heading into college, and there was also a guest speaker, Hoda Kotb. Senior shadowing began on May 27th for seniors, and different seniors got either a job or an internship to fill their hours. Clubs have been choosing their leadership for next year, and different clubs such as the SFL and Athletic Council held elections for those positions. the last day of classes is tomorrow, and the Spring Varsity Awards are also tomorrow for sports. On Wednesday, we have the all-school awards ceremony where different high school students can receive recognition for things they've done throughout the year. Finals are June 12th to 25th. Baccalaureate is Friday, June 13th, and graduation is Saturday, June 14th, and that's everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Your
Louise.
time.
And as the community is aware, we are dedicated to bringing the Bronxville Promise to life, and at our public meetings, having students represent what the Bronxville Promise has meant to them in the specific areas. And this evening, we've asked some students to join us to speak specifically about their independent studies and how that probably taps most into critical thinking. So come on up. And Dr. Laverso is going to introduce everyone. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. You're in for a treat tonight. Dr. Kelly, Mr. Brandons, members of the Board of Education, we're very pleased to present a showcase of some of the work that took place at our Research and Independent Study Symposium. This was on May 30th. The projects you're going to see this evening really illustrate a lot of the tenets of the Bronxville Promise, focusing on critical thinking. They showcased a lot of innovation, and they demonstrate how students are interested in the work that they can use to make a difference in society and in people's lives. It also shows their terrific capacity for collaboration and supporting one another. So this year we had about 73 different independent studies, ranging from genetic engineering to the intersections between literature, music, and art throughout history. Each year our students have the opportunity to propose a topic they'd like to perform an independent study on, and they identify a faculty advisor. They create a full proposal outlining their course of study. These proposals are reviewed for their specificity and the scope and sequence of their study, the rigor, the assessment methods, and what the final project will be, and the periodic assessments. And one thing worth noting is that the more specialized and specific students get regarding their interests, the less likely their study covers just one discipline. In fact, many of the projects you'll see this evening required students to take an interdisciplinary approach. So without any further delay, I want to introduce Mr. Kavari, who coordinated our symposium this year, and I hope that you enjoy seeing our students' work in action.
I think we'll go to the next slide. Thank you. Hi, everyone. So for the last couple of years, I think last year was the first year that we really formally did this, but we did this again this year, and it was much larger as an event. We've been doing research symposiums, and this was on May 30th. The idea was to have students present the work that they've done independently at the Bronxville School in a session that was multidisciplinary and that involved a lot of people from the community. So this year we had about 45 Bronx River research studies, 15 or so independent studies, and we also invited AP literature projects and education equity projects. So one of the goals was to make this multidisciplinary and sort of collaborate across disciplines. And what we did was we actually did a virtual-esque poster session where we set up posters on TVs, and students would stand in front of their work on the TV at an assigned location for about 15 minutes, and they would talk. The idea was for it to be interactive, as if it were at a research conference. They would talk to people about their work, and so it was usually a few-minute presentation and then more of a Q&A. And we had a lot of people participate. We had a few middle school classes come. We had teachers, K-12, administrators K-12, and even some community members, including parents and some of our own Bronx River Research Advisory Committee, all come to the meeting. And I think kids got great feedback, and if nothing else, it was excellent practice for them to communicate science. Like Dr. Laverso said, research is cross-disciplinary, and I think we want to expand our symposium and keep doing this year after year to make it clear that research is collaborative in nature. and it's collaborative across subjects and even disciplines. And so without further ado, I really want to give our students, we have 4 students here today, some time to talk about some of the work they've done. These projects range from independent studies that were done post Bronx River research to things that are completely separate. We have a math project. We have some people looking into CRISPR. So I'll turn it over to Charlotte, who's the first student up.
Good evening, everyone. I am Charlotte Glimbu, and my independent study was based off of my work in Bronx River research. My entire project was aimed to assess the health of the fish within the Bronx River. I spent about 16 weeks going to the Bronx River almost every single day and fishing, which is one of my favorite activities to do, and the fact that it could be for research was really incredible. I collected data on all of the species, any biological conditions, parasites, and I found out some really interesting things. So, as you know, the Bronx River has historically been a very polluted river, and there have been many conservation efforts, and these conservation efforts have clearly helped the river from the data that I collected. All of the fish that I caught were within normal range. They were healthy for the most part. There were parasites, but they minimally affected the fish. They caused human health effects, but not health effects to the fish, which is good. There was even pregnant fish caught. There was about 5 different species caught, even smallmouth and largemouth bass, which are bioindicators. They can't live in very polluted waters, and small proportions of each fish caught had parasites. The opportunity, this research has given me great opportunity in life. I have been able to do something I love, which is fishing, and make it research, which has been incredible and made me so happy. I had the opportunity to present at WESF, which is right in the middle. This is a research competition where I was able to present my research to real scientists and get their true opinion on what my research was about and how I can improve it. And I even got the opportunity to tour some labs and things like that through a summer program I did where I talked heavily about my research. It has been a really incredible experience doing independent studies, and it has really helped me grow as an individual and made me realize that I do want to continue this in the future. So next year, when I'm off in Miami in the fall, I will be majoring in marine biology and continuing my love for the ocean. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emma Young, and I'm a junior at Bronxville High School. So my independent study was based on science research, specifically in free surfer. So my independent study was with Ms. Dowd, but I also worked with lab mentors outside of the school that helped guide my work. But Ms. Dowd was instrumental in helping me better understand the context of free surfer in the scope of neuroscience, which is like the broader field this tool is in. So to explain what free surfer is as a tool, it's basically a software suite for automatic analysis and segmentation of neuroimaging data. So what does that mean? Basically means you have brain data and you have an input image that you got from taking an MRI scan, for example. But you want to sort it so that you have its function based on different parts of the brain, because otherwise you're just looking at a bunch of pixels. What free surfer can do is take in brain data in vast amounts, way more than a human could do, and segment it automatically and accurately, unlike any program that happened before. This is really important because this sorting process allows researchers to process brain data a lot more easily and make really interesting findings about large amounts of data at once. As a result, free surfer's algorithms are both more accurate and also more widely used than prior methods. It's used in many research pipelines, such as the Human Connectome Project and the UK Biobank, because it's needed to crunch such large amounts of information. So, what was my role in this then? My role as a research intern was to work under the LCN, or the Laboratories for Computational Neuroimaging. What the LCN does is it's basically a collection of labs that are centered around improving the algorithms that FreeSurfer already has and creating new algorithms that help sort this data in new and progressive ways. It's a lab at the Martino Center for Biomedical Imaging, which is associated with Massachusetts General Hospital, MGH, and HST, which is the Harvard-MIT Health Sciences and Technology, which is all based in Boston. What I did as an intern was I created manual vessel annotations. So what I was doing was basically doing manually what this software does automatically. Like any algorithm, it needs training data to base off of, and I was someone who helped create that training data to help improve the algorithms in the future. Overall, this independent study for me was a great opportunity to explore a lot of different interests that I had. I think Mr. Cavalli mentioned this really well earlier, but it's very interdisciplinary as a pursuit to study frontiers in neuroimaging because it combines things like computer science and machine learning and also like biology and anatomy. And you need to be able to understand and synthesize all of these things to better understand where these frontiers can take us in the future. So overall, this experience working with a real lab and being able to get hands-on with such a big frontier in neuroimaging was something that really heightened my respect and my love for all of these different disciplines. And I was very thankful to be able to do this with both mentors outside and within the Bronxville School. Thank you. Hello, my name is Isabel Yan, and my independent study was completed under the mentorship of Mr. Cavalli and 2 professional statisticians. And my project used biostatistical methods to investigate surgical outcomes in pediatric surgical patients. So in my project, I compared outcomes between patients with a cerebral palsy diagnosis and patients without a cerebral palsy diagnosis. And I was able to use data from a national surgical data set containing real-world clinical data from real patients who had undergone surgeries in the past. Throughout this project, I learned how to design a study to minimize bias using a variety of statistical techniques. One statistical technique that I used was propensity score matching, which aims to mimic a randomized trial and create patient groups that are more easily comparable. So how my mentors described it was, initially when I received the data, it was more an apples to oranges comparison between patients with CP and without CP, as there were a lot of confounding factors from demographics such as age or race to other comorbidities such as other diagnoses that they had that made the groups very hard to compare and really hard to identify was CP the thing that made them different or made them have separate outcomes. But using propensity score matching, I reduced this bias by matching based on these confounding factors. And in this project, I learned the importance of reducing this bias in making more ethical decisions. I also learned how to perform logistic regression, which is a more, I would say, traditional method used in a lot of science research, especially in medicine. And I used it to assess the impact of different baseline patient characteristics on certain outcomes. And one of these outcomes that I found important was unplanned hospital readmission. So overall, throughout this project, I developed a proficiency in both statistical methods and how to perform these methods. And I performed a lot of my statistical computations in the coding software RStudio, which I previously had no experience with. And it was really interesting to learn what goes on behind the scenes in doing these statistical processes and better ways to apply this in my research. Overall, I think my project was especially interdisciplinary, which is definitely a trend we can see throughout a lot of these projects, because it really taught me about the intersection between data science and medicine, as well as research design and ethics in helping patients in the future. And overall, I'm really grateful for this opportunity to explore my interest in biostatistics throughout the school year. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Larissa Coker, and I'm currently a junior at Bronxville High School. I'm so honored to have this opportunity to speak with you tonight. This year, I participated in an independent study on CRISPR gene editing technology, along with Masha Lekovic and Kara Kachansky. Our advisor, Mr. Kavari, created an open and supportive space where we learned through podcasts, scientific articles, case studies, and group discussions. He really encouraged us to ask tough questions, think outside of the box, and connect this new science to the real world. My personal focus was on CRISPR in neurological disorders, specifically Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and ALS. I learned that CRISPR uses a guide RNA and an enzyme called Cas9 to act like molecular scissors, cutting faulty DNA at a specific location. It's exciting because of the potential to treat diseases that until now have had no cure, but it comes with serious challenges. For example, there's the risk of off-target effects, editing the wrong gene, and ethical concerns like how this technology might only be accessible to wealthier communities. or what it means to change something in the brain we don't fully understand. Just last week, we presented our final projects at the Bronxville Science Symposium, where we shared what we learned with high school students, teachers, and multiple middle school classes. It was really exciting to see younger students so curious and full of questions, and it reminded me why this research matters beyond just textbooks. Even though my main interest is in endocrinology and reproductive health, which is the field I hope to work in someday, this independent study opened my eyes to how gene editing connects with many areas of medicine. It helped me realize how much I also care about neurology. Because of that, next year I plan to do my third independent study on neurological disorders and how they can affect prenatal development, a project that brings both of my interests together. Thank you again for the chance to speak. My research this year has been so rewarding.
Hello, I'm Isabel again, and in addition to my independent study on biostatistics, I also completed an independent study in real analysis along with my sister Emma. What real analysis is that it's a branch of math that focuses on a more rigorous, proof-based foundation for calculus. It focuses on why computations learned in calculus work on a more deep level. My study centered around the real number system, how sequences and series behave, and how functions of real numbers work. One new challenge posed by real analysis was set notation, which uses different symbols to represent sets, their elements, and operations performed on them. And you can see it on the screen under the definition of a limit, where I provided the definition of a limit in set notation. I think the biggest change for me in this study was learning how to write a mathematical proof, which is something I had very little experience with before. I had to learn how to write precise definitions, build arguments in a step-by-step manner, and learn how to analyze the logical structure of mathematical claims. To add on what Izzy said, overall real analysis was really a deconstruction of the past work we've done studying mathematics. We learned about not only the tools that we use, but also how to deconstruct them and then reconstruct them from scratch, which really helped me appreciate and understand the tools that I previously learned better. An anecdote that felt very relevant to me was about the life of Karl Weierstrass, who is considered the father of modern real analysis. He was a German mathematician born in 1815, and he made many contributions to the field of mathematical analysis, including pioneering the Bolzano-Weierstrass theorem, which is one of the more foundational theorems of the course. One of his most famous quotes is, "A mathematician who is not also something of a poet will never be a complete mathematician." As someone who is a writer myself and has always been, it really resonated with me and really helped me appreciate what real analysis has meant to so many people and so many students, including myself. It's really opened my eyes to how creative math can be and how much it does interface with all of the other studies I've been doing, even in humanities courses and even outside of school. Being able to study real analysis has been able to enhance my love for mathematics as a subject, and I'm very thankful that I was able to do that with the Bronxville School. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a shame we don't have mics because I would let them drop them. That's pretty good. If you have any questions, I'm happy not to attempt to answer them because this is some very advanced work that I'm sure the students would love an opportunity to.
Guys, that was really impressive. Thank you. Charlotte is my neighbor, so I'll pick on you for a second if you don't mind. About 30 years ago, there was a rope swing over the Bronx River, and I was the unlucky one that took the swing, and the branch broke, and I landed it. I can still remember the taste. It was not fresh. What do you think has been the biggest contributor to cleaning up the Bronx River over the last couple of decades, and what can we continue to do to keep that going?
Honestly, I think one of the biggest contributors has been Bronx River research. In total and complete honesty, we just did a 2-day Bronx River cleanup last week. And in that, we pulled out some of the most impressive haul I've ever seen in a long time. We pulled out 2 shopping carts, about 5 or 6 tires.
More than that, it was like 10 plus tires.
Yeah, 10 plus tires. Like, they're
huge tires.
Yeah, we pulled out really crazy things out of that river that are really trying to help clean it up, to the point where day one, we looked at our pile of trash and we go, is there anything else to clean up in here? And we had to find different sections of the river that no one has been to because we just haven't had access to it yet to clean it up. So Bronx River Research honestly is a great contributor, and that 2-day cleanup where we take all the middle school classes and some of the other classes we have down to the river is really incredible. But honestly, throwing your trash away in a trash can and not discarding it, not littering, anywhere within Bronxville, because all of it goes directly into the river. So things like that, not using as intense fertilizers, things like that are really helpful to keeping the river clean.
Thank you.
You said you caught a largemouth and a smallmouth bass, which indicate that the water's clean. Do you know the last time that, how long that trend has been, how many years you've been able to catch that versus when the river was really polluted? When's the first time that you've been able to catch bass again?
I'm not sure quite the trend, but I do know that when I first started catching bass 2 years ago, or last year, it wasn't as, it was nowhere near the population now. And now we even have eels, which I couldn't find the first year that I did research. So that's a really good indicator, but I cannot tell a specific time when you could start catching bass in the river.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, everybody.
Great.
Yeah.
Excellent job, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'm now pleased to introduce Mr. Brad Ashley, our Director of Technology. He has been spending a tremendous amount of time this year on working on improving our website. And he has solicited some feedback from the community, from the board, from faculty. And as a result, I asked him to give us a little bit of a tease of what some of these improvements may look like prior to us launching the improved website. And certainly after we launch it, we, the community, everyone will have ample opportunity to give feedback. But I thought we could get a little teaser this evening, so thanks, Brad.
Great. Really tough to follow that, but I'll try my best. Probably should have gone first. Sam.
Sorry about that.
All right, so website redesign. So we started this project over a year ago, kind of looking at, we had some, a company come in called Final Site, and they did some focus groups with people from the community. They did community members, parents, they did teachers, they did students, they did administration. And they kind of asked about the current website and how we felt about it. They came back with a lot of, you can go to the top, please. Yep. And then, so they were kind of working, trying to find out what's not working, what is working, and they have their kind of system in place. So I was really along for the ride. I was fortunate to have some really strong people helping me out through Final Site. They're not watching, but shout out to them. So what we've got here is the very first thing we had to do was kind of analyze who was visiting our website and how often it was. And so across the entire year, it's about 200 visits per day. And that varies based on the time of year. So we were kind of looking at, all right, where are people going? And we're able to, through Google Analytics, look at which pages were being visited. And we were also able to look at pie charts of what kind of devices were visiting our website. And what we've noticed over the past 2 years, there's been a trend of more mobile visits through our to our website. So these are all things that we're kind of taking in as we were thinking about designing which pages are most important, what devices are people looking at. So all of this kind of goes into creating the website. So if you could go to the next slide. So this is a preview of our homepage. We have changed the navigation, and I'll go through that on the next slide, but I just want to keep this up right now. We have a much larger, what they call hero image, and we have the ability to put much more text than in previous years. So, or in our current site. So just some of the little changes. I'm not going to be able to go through all of them, but I want to highlight some of the things that really kind of draw it out. At one point, one of our Final Site mentors or people that were helping me out, they had a really great idea to weave in pictures with the Bronxville Promise, but we couldn't because we didn't have the amount of text ability. So it was like one of these things that was just like the limitations of our current site, which we're still on, moving to a more updated site gives us the possibility to do some of these text-based things. So this is the brand new landing page, and if you go to the next slide, please, thank you. we have a reorganized navigation. This PDF is also available on the Board Docs website so people can see better pictures. Again, websites aren't meant to be seen on a 65-inch TV at the end of a hallway. It's supposed to be on your device, so everybody can kind of take a look at that. On the very top of the main page, we have parents, calendar, class link, and then Infinite Campus. Those were the main pages that people said that they would like to visit, and those were also the most website hits looking at our analytics. And then under parents, we have a parent zone, we have athletics, lunch, and attendance. And again, these were all things that when they surveyed the community, these were the main points that people wanted to get to. What is my kid eating? How do I take attendance? How do I get to the athletics? And then the parent zone is kind of a nice catch-all that we didn't have before. As you can see on the far right-hand side next to menu, there's the 3 lines. It is called a hamburger menu. I'm not making that up. But when you click on the hamburger menu, it opens up and you can see we have this nice kind of navigation of simple things. You click on the plus and it kind of expands out. There's 2 different ones. There's the main tech district page and then one of the schools. And then if you go down to the very bottom, you can see athletics. And athletics, really, we try to just say, okay, weekly schedule. When does my kid have practice? Games, when are those games? And then the live stream to be able to watch. So just some reorganized navigation, trying to make it simple and easier. All right, next slide, please. Slide 4. Perfect, thank you. So we also updated the Bronxville Promise page, being kind of our North Star. So what we did is we attempted to take the newer language that was developed back in October and kind of put it into tabs along the bottom. And so it really kind of outlines what the promise is. The main tenets are the tabs, and then you can go through. And what we're going to try and do is attempt to find ways to, we don't have a staff photographer, but we're going to enlist a lot of people to try and take more pictures so that we can have it more idealized on the different tenets of the Bronxville Promise. All right. Speaking of photos, we have an updated staff directory. This was a big ask of seeing who is my teacher and what does their face look like. So we've got our staff directory. This was a big project, kind of uploading everything on the back end, and I'll show you that on the CMS in a few slides. But then finding most recent yearbook photos to put. There's some people that we had to chase down to get a newer yearbook photo, and we couldn't get them all, but we got a majority comfortable enough to put out there. And what's really nice about this is that we're able to, since this isn't in a single page, it's built into the CMS itself. So now we're able to, on the first grade site, target the first grade team. On the middle school English site, we're able to target the middle school English teachers. And so each site is going to be more directed and going to have everybody's picture, so you know exactly what who the teachers are of each subject. All right, thank you. Next one. Curriculum maps, this was another big ask. We have these wonderful PDFs that are year-long, and they're just kind of static on the page. You can click on them, you can look through them, but we had a few asks from the community of trying to figure out, make it more dynamic and interactive. This was actually an interesting problem because it was we didn't have a great solution immediately. And so really what we wanted 3 filters. And so we kind of came to an ability to do 2 filters in a search bar. So hopefully we're getting there. We're also looking into employ some AI to be able to upload all of the curriculum maps and that be able to search. So that's doing a little tweaking. That is not for our launch. That's probably more of a fall thing, just putting it out there. But the curriculum is put up there. You can see this is just an example of K through 8 curriculum, the tabs, and then you can filter by month and you can filter by subject. And then when you click on one of them, next slide, when you would click on one of them, it would pop out and give you a pop-up window showing exactly what they're doing and some information on that. This also has the ability to have hyperlinks. So if there's a textbook linked to it, you can click on the link and it will take you to the textbook if available. Next slide, thank you. We also have, we also reorganized our calendars. So we really leaned into the calendar module, and we're able to find and update as many calendars as possible and link them. And so what that means is that now all of our calendars are Google calendars, in which many people in each building in the district have access to, so people can update those when there's a change, when field day is delayed until the next day because of weather. You can update that and it will automatically update to the calendars. All of them have the ability to be subscribed to, so anybody could go on, they can subscribe to it, and you'll get it as a Google Calendar or an iCal on your phone. If you're familiar. We also have a couple different layouts of all school events at the top, and so a nice way to kind of read that cycles through in a carousel, and then below we have the multiple tabs that have all that. The athletics, which I didn't go into, our final site people were able to grab each individual sports athletics calendar and be able to put that into the website and then be able to filter that out. And then we were just informed that they're moving to a new platform. So when we get ahead of that new platform, when we get access to it, we'll go ahead and do the same so that all the calendars are up there. And again, all of these calendars are linked. And so when the athletics calendar is updated by BOCES, who's in charge of our game schedule, when the middle school, the high school, the elementary school, when those calendars are updated, it will take about 5 minutes to push the regular to the public site. And then, and one big thing, one big challenge was ADA compliance. And so our website is now 8 years old. And so think back on 8 years ago, what kind of technology was out there. And now we have much more advanced technology, and we have a lot more rules in terms of ADA, so the accessibility aspect. So we have a audio eye, which is the little icon with the person. If you click on that, I don't know if anybody's played around with this on different websites, but when you click on that, it gives you a bunch of accessibility options. That's the menu on the far right-hand side. It can change the text, the size of the text. There's a dyslexic font out there, so if you're dyslexic, you can click on that. You can show that, and it'll bring up a font. It has screen readers that will black out all but a single line, so you can really focus. But the problem with all of that is that it doesn't work well if your website isn't organized. So we went through a big organization project, making sure that every page kind of has the same headers, the same SEO, so the same search engine optimization to be able to find these different places. And then, of course, a little over a year ago, they announced that everything's going to be built towards mobile. And so fortunately, when we're updating to this newer site, everything's going to be automatically built in. And then our final slide, yes, final slide, is our content management system. It's updated. So CMS is content management system, and this is on the back end. I wasn't going to go through a GIF and show you all the ins and outs, but just wanted to point out, and it's very small to see, but on the far right-hand side, it shows you all the updates that it's constantly going through. And so this is Final Site, somebody else, the product that we use, keeping up to date and making sure that we're ADA compliant and making sure all of those things. So we have assistance in that as we kind of move forward and continue to improve our website. So this website, we hope for a launch on, ironically, Reorganization Day. So on Tuesday, July 8th. So I'll be working on that in the first couple of days of July. And as Dr. Kelly mentioned, when it goes live, there'll be a pop-up window, there'll be a form that we can fill out with all the great things and the things that you might want to tweak. Let's keep it in that order. And you can give us feedback, and as we're soliciting feedback from the community, we'll go ahead and implement it as it deems appropriate. Any questions?
That's great, Brad. I'll put you up there with our genius students.
Okay. That's right. I did use the word trend, so try to get a little science in there. Computer science.
Really appreciate all the very thoughtful and hard work on it. And July sounds great. And did you say the curriculum page you think that might be ready in the fall?
So the curriculum page will be ready on the launch, the AI component. And I don't know if that's going to be ready because Final Site is working on their own AI component. I'm trying to work on another bot in which we're able to upload all of those curriculum maps and be able to search. So the reason for that, and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself because if this doesn't happen, this is now on YouTube Live. But what I'm trying to do is get it so that we can upload all of the things, and a user can go in and say, I have a 4th grader and an 8th grader. What are they doing in September? You can't do that on the site because there's no way to match up all that curriculum, but an AI bot could. And so a chatbot could, because it could search those different things, pull that information and put it together. So that's what I've been working on. I can't promise that that's going to be ready in July, but I'm going to work on that for September because I think that would be a great tool.
It's incredible.
And even if you're like your child's out sick, great. Here's the lesson from the like, at some point in the future. Here's the lesson from the day. This is what you missed.
Right. I mean, most of that's going to be on Google Classroom from the teacher directly.
Yep.
The website curriculum maps are more of like a general overview, but absolutely, if they're missing a week, then we're going to be able to see what they've missed over that week. Yeah.
Terrific, Brad.
Wow.
Well done,
Thank you.
Brad.
Thank you,
This is
Brad.
Well
great.
done.
Really
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank you. Perfect.
So there's quite a long personnel agenda before the board this evening. We were able to discuss all aspects of this in executive session. I do want to point out just a couple of the items A through II. And first and foremost, that is the appointment of our interim elementary school principal. So Adrienne Laitman is coming home. She was a master teacher here in 4th and 5th grade, and I truly believe, and this is anecdotal, I should do another dissertation on this, but I believe that the best administrators were our best teachers. I think master teachers make just exquisite administrators. And we did promote Adrienne to assistant principal, and she served in that role for 6-7 years before she retired. And then in retirement, she went over to the dark side and went into independent school administration and has decided that she's had enough of that. So we were able to scoop her up precisely when we needed her. So I appreciate the board considering your appointment this coming year. Also before you are a number of new hires due to resignations and retirements. This is also the agenda where I ask you to consider the salaries of the administrators as well as the salaries of our managerial and confidential staff. It's also the agenda where you have all of our part-time teachers because they are appointed annually, as well as some of our summer help, which are students who help with our technology help desk. And then we do have our special education summer program employees that I'm asking you to consider, as well as a few new coaches for the fall. And I wanted to just end on a note that we have a teacher who was in need of sick time to get her through the remainder of the school year and not to have her health insurance lapse. And we negotiated a side letter that would allow employees to donate a day for her. And although we only need 30, we received over 90 days. So I think that just is indication of the type of place this school is, and we wish her well. So with that, I'm asking you to consider A through II, please.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Motion to approve personnel action items A through II.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Adrienne.
Yeah.
And thank
Yes,
you.
welcome back.
Mr. Carlin, I think we are on to you.
We'll start with the financial report for the current year, at least through April. Projection for year-end surplus has grown to almost $2 million, based almost entirely on revenues. We continue to see expenditures forecasted near break even, but we invariably pick up some more surplus as we close out the year, as smaller budget balances are closed out. Non-resident tuitions, special ed tuition, interest, income, and health services billings will be favorable this year. This surplus sets us up nicely for the $500,000 appropriation from unassigned fund balance that we had to offset the 2026-2027 tax levy, the budget that went before the voters in May. and to keep us in a strong position regarding our reserves going forward. I would anticipate that we can significantly fund the capital reserve in anticipation of upcoming field replacement within the next 5 years, after using the bulk of that reserve to fund our upcoming D-Wing project that was also just approved in May. So it's going to give us a little kickstart on replenishing that capital reserve.
It's great news, Dan. Thank you.
The audit committee met on May 29th and reviewed the attached risk assessment update with representatives of Cherry Beckart, who is our internal auditor. It was the consensus of the audit committee to recommend that the Board of Education accept the risk assessment update and authorize the audit plan with debt, investments, and cash as the focus area for the internal audit for the 2024-25 school year.
Okay, I think we'll hear a little more about that later during committee reports. I get a motion to approve the risk assessment internal audit plan.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Dan, you got action items?
Sure. As is customary in this meeting, and then the reorganization meeting in July, and then the first September meeting, there's a number of financial action items as we prepare for the next fiscal year. They include some contracted services, which we tend to renew on an annual basis. Some have been competitively bid, and some are considered professional services, which are not subject to competitive bidding requirements. I'll start with first item is 2 additional foundation grants, an increase in the size of the curriculum redesign in the Age of AI grant of $27,417, which more than doubles the size of the original grant to $51,942, and that's based on interest from the faculty, which is, it's really a grassroots effort to kickstart this AI project. And then the second one is funding for a plaque dedicating the special education community garden to our own Dr. Rachel Kelly, honoring her 30 years of service to the Bronxville school. So if I can have that one first. I'll take the next 4 together.
Okay. I get a motion to approve the foundation grants. I think it should also be noted, and I see it here in the small print, Dan, the Bronxville School Foundation has provided the school with nearly $400,000 in funding this academic year.
Amazing.
Just tremendous. Gratitude could not be expressed. May I have a motion to accept these 2 grants?
Motion. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Dan?
The next 4 items, B, C, D, and E, are all kind of annual items. We finally have a contract
open campus, that if students were leaving campus for lunch, they would have access to their phones, and then after lunch, they return them to the lock boxes. I give Mr. Makora and Mr. Vadlika a lot of credit for just making this change seamless in the middle school, and I give our middle school kids a lot of credit because they've really been overall very compliant. The biggest change is really to the high school. After a lot of consideration, Ray and I have spent a fair amount of time on this. We believe that we are making a recommendation to the board that is teaching our kids how to be responsible, which is, I know, one of our main goals, and also adhering to the law. And so what we're proposing is that we don't see cell phones at all. Cell phones have to be off and away. We will have parking devices in each of the classrooms where they can put their cell phones. The cell phones can also be in their backpacks. We cannot see them. What's a big change for our high schoolers is that the law is clear that now it's even in hallways, cafeterias, study hall, learning commons. Anytime during the day, the phones need to be off and away. What did you come up with, Ray, that you're going to use with the kids? Come on.
Off and away is okay.
Off and away is okay. That's right.
Say a taser.
That's right.
The high school students are going to love that.
Right.
I tested it out with them on Friday.
Okay.
How'd that go?
They didn't love it as much as you did.
Appealing. So what we are recommending in terms of personal laptops is that all of our 9th graders next year will continue with Chromebooks. These are our current middle schoolers who are used to bringing Chromebooks, district-issued Chromebooks to and from school. So we're going to continue that with the middle school cohort moving up into 9th grade. However, with our 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, they can bring their personal laptops to school, providing that they are being used for educational purposes. So when they are in the classroom and it's appropriate to have them out, they can use their personal laptops. What will be important is that their cell phones are off and away. We do not want them using their cell phones as personal hotspots, because then that will give them access to potentially distracting material during instructional time. So they will have access to their personal laptops again, and we are expecting our students to be responsible and compliant with this. And Dr. Laverso, Mr. Vadlika, working on some verbiage so it's also clear not only what our expectation is, but also what the repercussions are in terms of warnings and then some discipline. So we feel good about where we've landed with this, and so that's part of the first reading this evening. Ray, did you want to add anything?
They would have to register their device that they're using it in accordance with our acceptable use policy.
Okay.
So it sort of allows us to accomplish two goals at the same time. One, reviewing the acceptable use policy and signing it, and two, putting that in there so that they know that this is a privilege that can be revoked at any time if they're not using their personal device in accordance with the policy.
Okay. Now look, this is it's going to be ambitious in terms of the cultural shift within the school. I think it's going to be great for the students, so thank you for this work. And we are approving this for the first reading, which means that we invite community comment on any of these policies. So please, if you have comments, please let us know. I get the board to approve these 3 policies for first reading.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. did the Rick. Okay, I think we are on to committee reports. I think, why don't we knock before we go to curriculum with Ann Meyer, why don't we try audit, finance, health and welfare? Why don't we just take them as they come, and then we could jump over to Ann.
Sure.
Pete? Yeah.
So we met with our internal auditors, and we saw a drastic improvement in certain areas year over year. We were deficient last year in 5 categories. Information technology, we went from a 225 risk weighting, which is high risk, down to a 204. Our information technology was part of our internal audit last year, so it makes sense that it went down. Other things that were notable, student services was 244, which is a high risk, went down to a 148, which is a medium rating, so we're happy about that. And the third area, purchasing and AP, we're at a 209, and that went down to a 167. The 3 areas that are still high risk areas are just the areas that you'd think should be high risk. Anything dealing with money in or out should have a higher rating, and we're still going to work on that. Investment, debt, and cash is a 221 rating. Revenue and AR is a 219 rating. Government and grants, aid and grants is a 212. The auditor recommended next year that the specific area they should look at is investment, debt, and cash, which is our highest risk rating this year, which kind of makes sense. So.
And I'll just add, Pete,
Sure.
that a lot of these ratings are not specific to the Bronxville school. They're based on looking at exogenous factors like what's happening in the broader economy and what's happening in other schools. So, for example, if cybersecurity shoots up one year, it's because of what's happening in the broader climate around cybersecurity risk. So some of this stuff is, stuff that we have to deal with as a school too, but a lot of it is risk that's placed on us based on what's happening outside the school.
Great.
And most are, and our high risk are similar to other districts.
No, it's good context. Thank you, both of you. Finance or?
Finance, we
Yeah.
reviewed the insurance renewal package, which all but one policy are actual quotes. Our premiums are up 11% on average, which I think most of us know from personal experience is just what is happening in the insurance industry these days. And we also reviewed, as I referred to earlier, estimates for year-end transfers, which will be finalized once the annual audit is complete in the fall. And then lastly, the committee reviewed policies related to the finance area, most of which had no changes. We review them on an annual basis. I think one big update was that the district is going to add a district credit card so that where large deposits are required for trips, we will no longer be asking individual people to front those. The use of the credit card will be very carefully controlled, and I believe only Mr. Carlin will have the ability to use it. So
Good.
that's
Good.
it for finance.
Good developments. Thank you, Susan. How about health and welfare, Eddie?
Health and safety.
Health and safety,
Yeah,
sorry.
we met. There wasn't a whole lot of big announcements coming out of this meeting.
Okay.
We've done our drills for the year. The head lice population is at a manageable level at this point. Sorry, Rachel.
Excellent.
So everything's good on that front. What else do we have? Facilities. We're gonna have to change the order of these committee reports because Dan always takes all the exciting facility updates from me. As you mentioned, we're getting the flood pump enclosure underway. Already underway, but it'll it'll ramp up as soon as school is out. Same thing with the security vestibule. And the Bronxville School Foundation, closing up their year. They had a really successful year. They did a lot for the school, as they always do. We're extremely grateful for them and everything that they can provide in terms of extra programming, things that the school budget wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. The new benches that are out front are just one example, and they're going to be putting an AC in the cardio and the weight room, which is great. That'll start pretty much after school is out as well, and I think that's all I have tonight.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Pete, anything PTA or?
No, just, on election day, that whole open mic, you and I were together.
Yeah.
And your daughter was singing, but I didn't have a child singing, thank God. He was there. But, the arts committee was there from the PTA, the whole Bronco that's made out of flowers. I'm like, what a great day.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
Besides you and I winning.
Of course,
Also,
yeah.
No, but I'm saying, the whole atmosphere was just amazing. So,
Yeah.
Alana, thank you.
Thank you, yes. we have
And,
Alana
thank
here
you.
herself. Thank you.
And Memorial Day was amazing also. So
Yeah.
thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Memorial Day, phenomenal week of events. So
Yep.
thank you.
Perfect. All right, main event for the committee reports. Ann Meyer, our head of curriculum and instruction, if you could give us an update on the work that we've done there.
Sure. So our most recent meeting, we invited the high school English department, who piloted a new process for text selection that we developed this year. So essentially, with the middle and high school English department, we reviewed a variety of criteria that we want to make sure that when we're adopting a text for an English course, that we are looking at and evaluating before we move forward with the text. So that criteria includes things like the purpose of the title, alignment with the curriculum, scholarship and literary merit of the title, authoritativeness, accuracy, and validity of the information if it's nonfiction, perspective, timeliness or permanence, reputation of author or publisher. There are a variety that have questions that we ask the department to consider within the criteria. And it turned out that the English department was thinking about replacing a text in the 10th grade. So they were able to pilot this process this year. And the process, in terms of how that criteria is considered, is we've outlined that when the department is considering introducing a new text, they actually generate 3 possibilities for what might replace the text, and that they evaluate all 3 on this criteria, and that at least 2 department members review each text, and that the department comes together and has a conversation about the merits of each text in relation to the criteria and how it fits in the curriculum before a decision's made about which text they'd like to put forth to the principal and I, and then eventually to the strategies and curriculum committee. I think we had the opportunity to hear from the department how this process worked, and I think what was really, first of all, I want to thank them for their openness to try something new and for all the work that went into this, particularly during the school year, to propose 3 different books and then evaluate them, and they did so in a very detailed and thoughtful way. I think what they shared with us was how helpful it was to have this process in place, because had they not, they had an initial book they were thinking about, and they said in the past they probably would have just gone with that book. But because they really had to think about a few options, they actually had a very productive discussion as a department, thinking more broadly across 9th through 12th grade, what texts might add to the curriculum, and they actually ended up deciding on a different text than what they originally thought, and then moving the text they originally thought they would go with to a summer reading text that they're going to assign to the whole grade. So I think they really commented on how this process was helpful to them. And I think, again, I want to thank them for all the work that went into it. And I think we ended up with a really nice outline going forward. So that was, I think, the main part of what happened at the meeting.
Right, and I would hope, thank you, Anne, and thank you to the English department and teachers for all the work they did. I have to say what Ann Myers just described doesn't even do justice to the experience that the Strategy and Curriculum Committee had when we sat there in front of these teachers explaining what they went through and how excited they were to work together to make this whole academic experience in English literature even more robust. It was like an exercise in critical thinking, but at the teacher level. It was really fascinating to us, and I think really rewarding, and I just felt really good about this. We really didn't know where this was going, all right? And certainly it started with one book, and then it evolved, but you could see how the wheels were turning in the room. I hope at some point, possibly in the fall, as we get further along, that we'll have a presentation so we could really lay it out, because the things that they shared with us in the materials was really interesting. So it was a very analytical and not just anecdotal discussions, but really impressive work. Thank you for your leadership, and to Dr. Kelly for helping making this happen.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, good.
Can I ask
Sarah?
a question, Ann?
Yeah.
Will there be any follow-up after a year of teaching this book that it was all that they thought it was as far as student engagement and the themes that they were trying to get across? Is there going to be some sort of...
Definitely. I mean, they go through sort of a review of their curriculum each year, but especially new texts.
Great. Christina, I don't know if you want to add anything to, she was also in the meeting?
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, I think I'll just echo what Anne and Michael said. It was a really tremendous experience to see the teachers formulate this process and go through it. And really the animating principle behind all of it was how to optimize the students' use of their instructional time, and to sort of provide a space and a time for the teachers to be able to engage in this kind of collaborative critical thinking. And it feels like we really did see an outcome where the book selections went from, very good to optimal, which is a win-win. So again, just to thank Anne for her leadership and the teachers for being willing to really put their thinking caps on and go through this. So we're very pleased, and thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Any other comments? All right. I think we're on to public comment. Nothing online? Nothing in the room? I think we have one person from the public here. Who's not administrator? You're okay. All right. Well then, may I have a motion to close the public meeting?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye. That's it. Thank you for coming.